chugging straight whiskey? Do you like slamming your balls into a pressure cooker? Do you like porn? Yeah, you do. Does masculinity course through your veins? That means you must like classic rock. The only thing harder than my rippling biceps. Get ready for 1 hour of conversation about the hardest fucking music you've ever heard in your goddamn fucking life. Fucking balls. Yeah!
Games, toys, shows, and all the retro things.
Was this sissy shit? I said rock! Okay, what's going on, everybody? You're listening to XNOS Exploding Nostalgia Episode 6. My name is Brandon. You may have heard somewhere. There's this rumor going around that today's episode is about classic rock. And as a matter of fact, that rumor is right. Today we're talking about a music genre that I have cared about for as long as I can remember. You know, growing up, my parents would play so much classic rock. It was unbelievable. It was more to the softer side, you know, stuff like Boston and the Eagles, CCR. But hearing those bands growing up really got me into that whole genre, and you know, Guitar Hero later on, Rock Band only helped me further it, and now I would consider myself a big classic rock fan. Now I'm gonna preface today's episode that music genres are very confusing, especially in the year 2022. A lot of people look back at classic rock and have a different idea of when it starts and ends. I've heard before that people think it's strictly 70s rock. Some people include the 70s and 80s. Some people include all the way through the 90s to the 2000s. So like where you draw the line at what classic rock is, I feel is a little subjective. I personally feel like classic rock started in the late 60s, made it through to the 80s. Like I would consider the Rolling Stones classic rock as well as some 80s bands, like AC/DC is classic rock at this point to me. So, you know, again, those people are going to disagree with me on my opinions on this, but I'm throwing that out there just so you know what you're getting into. Anyway, I'm getting my buddy Logan on the show to tackle this subject with me. You may remember him from episode 1. I don't think he's been on since. Out of all my friends, he's the one I can share my love for classic rock with the most. You know, everybody has some level of appreciation for it, but, you know, me and him, we'll go for drives and just jam out to some Bob Seger old time rock and roll, and I don't know, we'll share songs back and forth. It's a great time. Today's episode is brought to you by a DM I got on Twitter by a gentleman by the name of Mike Powell, who had a few questions he wanted to ask. One being, what's the best era of rock and why is it grunge? Listen, I like grunge. I do. I can get behind some Soundgarden, some Pearl Jam, some Nirvana, some Jane's Addiction. I don't know if you can consider Jane's Addiction grunge. I feel like grunge is one of those genres where if you pick a band that's not grungy enough, someone's gonna get mad at you. Much like metal. You really want... It's very easy to piss off a metal fan, believe me. The best era of rock is a tough question because I have an appreciation for most eras of rock. Me being 23 years old, I obviously grew up with like the 2000s pop punk phase. But I'm a huge fan of the 80s, 70s stuff as well. Hair metal, Motley Crue, I had a massive phase with back in, I think, 2017. Bands from the 70s like Danger really hold a special place in my heart. While at the same time, a lot of like 90s alternative rock is big for me. Again, there's so much to talk about, and I don't want to do it alone. Let's get my buddy Logan in here to hash this out.
Exploiting nostalgia.
What got you into classic rock?
What the fuck do you mean what got me into classic rock? What made you like Visible Light? I don't know, you just fucking do. Like, I don't know, man. I feel like that's okay, so what got me into classic rock? I feel like inherent music tastes, like, I don't know if there is always a moment. I think you just kind of, like, maybe you listen to it too young to remember, like, the people you hang out with as well, for sure. But I don't know, I can't remember a time not liking classic rock.
I got a pretty good idea of when I started.
Okay.
What kind of? My mom would play, like, my dad didn't listen to anything, ever. I know he liked...
Musicless bastard.
He was just he's such a dad. Like, he didn't, but not even like a dad, like a lame dad.
That's not even a dad thing. Dads listen to rock.
They do. And like, he did like rock.
There's a genre called dad rock.
The only, like, time in my life I've ever heard him talk about music was in my in my teens when he said his favorite band was Fleetwood Mac, and I had never once in my life heard my dad listen to Fleetwood Mac.
Oh, of course.
But my mom would play like a lot of pop. Like she would play
I'm familiar.
Elton John, the poppier side of Elton John.
Yeah.
Bee Gees, Blondie. Again, the poppier side of Blondie rather than the rock side.
I've got a brand new roller skate. Everybody knows that
got
song.
a brand new pair of roller skates. You got a brand new key.
Yeah.
Classic Nancy Sinatra song.
Iconic. The better Sinatra, as they say.
The better Sinatra. Really the only Sinatra. Name another,
The
I
only
dare you.
iconic one.
I encourage you to name another.
Jonathan, but he didn't really do anything big past the 40s.
No, he owned a Wendy's.
Yeah. Good for him, though. Good for him. Really? So, okay. I mean, that's fair. Like, I feel like it's one of those things. You just kind of grow up with it.
Well, that was like the spark for it. Like, growing up, I didn't care about it. Like, I just knew it as music because my mom would play it. But it didn't mean anything to me. It took to, like, I would say grade 7 when I, no, not grade 7, grade 5 probably, because I played Guitar Hero for the first time. That was like, you know, you're holding a guitar, you're listening to some classic songs, Iron Man and whatever else, Rocky Like a Hurricane. Guitar Hero 3 I played a lot of, so Slow Ride.
See, and I was actually just thinking, that could actually have been an earlier moment of mine too, because my brother had Guitar Hero 3, and so I would listen to him play tons growing up, right? And then also, when I started playing it, yeah, these songs just all became, like, some of my favorite songs. I could not count on, like, the hands of all my friends the amount of times I played Slow Ride as a kid.
Oh, well, it was I sucked, so it was the only song I could play.
Yep, that was the first song I played, and I was
super easy.
Yep, and not super easy. I played on regular easy, but I was too terrified to leave that difficulty for a long time. So I just played fucking Slow Ride, and so I was getting like 98% on it. But then I tried like another song, and I would get like 88%, and I would feel so discouraged, so I'd go right back to Slow Ride and continue to play that.
Actually, I know when you stopped playing on easy, because when we played Rock Band for the first time, you wanted to play on easy. You only started playing on medium when you met me.
That's not true at all.
Absolutely, I remember it because I remember that.
You're thinking medium to hard.
No, you were on easy, and you didn't want to
Yes.
not be on easy, except because Spencer was playing on expert, so you didn't want to look like a bitch. So you went to medium, and then you never went back.
No, that's why I went up to hard, not medium.
No, you went to. This was like the very first time we played.
Because I remember the what's the fucking song by Alice Cooper? School's Out for Summer. That song, that was the first song I played on medium, and I played it once, and I got like 67%, like barely passed. And I got so discouraged that I stopped. And then my sister was like, "Are you playing Slow Ride again?" I'm like, "Yes." She's like, "What song were you just playing?" And I told her, she's like, "Why don't you go back and do that one again?" I was like, "Because I almost failed." She's like, "That's the only way you're going to get better." And then my brother mercilessly made fun of me until I did it again. And so that's when I went to medium. But I never went past medium because I could never get the orange button. But then I wanted to stop looking like a bitch around Spencer, and that's when I went up to hard.
Okay, maybe you're right. I just remember you really wanted to stay on easy. I want to ask Spencer this just for him to verify, because I thought I remembered that pretty clearly. I was the same way.
That will have been medium to hard, because I stayed on medium for an egregiously long amount of time. I was getting 100% on like almost every song in Guitar Hero. Like not the extreme ones, obviously, but like all the basics. I was getting like 100%, and that my brother, I needed to get past that.
And if you're not getting 100% on easy, what are you even doing?
You know, on medium.
One note
I was
every
starting to
20
get like 100%
seconds.
on medium. Now I want to play Guitar Hero 3 again. I want to go beat that final boss.
Okay, the bosses were cool as shit.
That went down to Georgia.
Yeah, that boss was dope as hell. I have a hard time playing Guitar Hero though. Like Rock Band has ruined Guitar Hero for me.
I've had that. I've played it like once since my like Rock Band coming of age moment where I grew old enough that I'm like, oh, okay, Rock Band's just better. And you're right. Like it's hard to go back.
I've tried. It's not like I can go back to a lot of old things and enjoy them, but like there's two main things that kill me. They just kill me. One, the timing is just different. Like it is. You have to on Rock Band. You hit it when the button lands on the prompt. With Guitar Hero, it's right before it. Now, in theory, you could tune it to like be more like Rock Band.
You can calibrate it.
You could, but the other thing that bothers me is when you miss a note. That
yeah.
It's like it makes me physically angry.
It's demoralizing.
No, that's the greatest way to word it.
I totally know what you mean though, because for me it's kind of like when you play Smash Bros. Brawl for an extensive period of time, and then you probably play Melee. It's like this just feels fucking bad. I don't like it. Even more so, you play Melee and then you go back to the original Smash Bros. It's like, holy, this feels like dog shit.
It's clunky and bad.
Yeah, it's the same thing to me. Like, it's still iconic and I love it, but it's like I don't love playing it anymore. I just like thinking about it.
Guitar Hero, that for me, that was. I would only play Slow Ride, but I'd watch my brother, my friend's brother. He would play One by Metallica and Through the Fire and the Flames, all the hard shit, and I would just watch, thinking he was the coolest guy on earth.
I have a vivid memory of I was at Connor's house because me and him used to hang out, and his older brother, who low key in hindsight probably had some anger management issues. It was not good sometimes, but he was in his room with his buddy, and they were playing Guitar Hero. And I think they were playing The Number of the Beast. So like the hardest song in the game, other than Through the Fire and Flames. And they were on expert, and like they were both extremely good at this game. And his buddy was doing 100% run, and me and Connor needed to like ask him for like a memory card or something. So Connor knocked on the door, and then you just hear "fuck" from inside the room. His brother like explodes out and just fucking screams at us for ruining the 100% run.
I mean, you can understand his perspective. If there was ever a time for Kyle to punch a hole in the drywall, that was it.
His name literally was Kyle. His older brother's name is Kyle.
Are you shitting me?
No.
Damn, all right.
I was like, wait, does he know? No, he doesn't know him. He's doing the stereotype. Right. Yeah, his name's Kyle.
What are the chances of that? Holy shit.
There are a lot of names, so pretty low.
Guitar Hero was the spark, but when we started playing Rock Band in grade 7, that was when I like actually started to get good at the game.
Right.
My buddy Zach would play drums because he wanted to be a drummer, so that just worked out. So I got to shred on guitar. I got to be the guy.
The guy.
And like you changing your outfit and shit. The song selection.
Oh, thank you. I never liked using the pre-made rockers. I had to be my own rocker.
No, any game, we've talked about this before, any game that lets you customize your character is just, it immediately makes the game baller as fuck.
The game itself could be a 1 out of 10, but if I can play as my own character, 2 out of 10. I will give you a full extra mark right there.
I don't know, that game, everything about it, I fell in love with the song selection, because there was such a broad, like, you would get...
There's a great variety.
Yeah, you had Green Grass and High Tides to Highway Star to Tom Sawyer, Creep, Black Hole Sun. You get everything from grunge to pop or punk rock to like classic rock.
Well, and that's just it. I think one of the beautiful parts about that game is that it showed you songs that there's no way I would know about other than that, like Green Grass and High Tides, which is such a good song. But there's no way I would have heard it other than through Rock Band, realistically. Other than in like now that we're older. But like back then, no chance. No chance.
Actually, now that you say that, I would say that Guitar Hero got me into like the big rock songs that just everybody knows that I would hear on the radio. That like it made me care about them. Rock Band made me care about stuff that wasn't just what you'd hear on the radio.
Yep, I agree. Like, I mean, let's be honest. The greatest song of all time. Are You Gonna Be My Girl?
Are You Gonna Be My Girl?
Come on.
Honestly, I'm waiting for them to drop a new album with a hit single. Are You Still Gonna Be My Girl?
Any chance you'll still be my girl?
Any chance you're still interested in being my girl?
What are the odds you'll be my girl?
You can't tell me if they actually dropped a song called that wouldn't just go off.
I would have it on repeat.
I have a skewed memory of when that song came out, because like that came out in the 2000s, but I see it as a classic rock song.
I mean, well, now that it comes to what is classic at this point.
I have a hard time.
That song is
question.
18 years old.
I know, but if it came on the 2000s, that seems wrong to call it classic.
It came out in 2003. It can drink as of August 18th. That song can drink.
It just feels wrong. I don't even like thinking of Nirvana songs as classic rock.
I mean, okay, I have an easier time thinking of them. I know what you mean, though. I do.
You say Boston, you're like, oh, classic rock, sure. You say Nirvana, and I'm more like that's grunge. It's different. It's 90s. It's not classic rock.
Yeah, but Nirvana, In Bloom, came out in 1992.
Yeah, so like there's a strong argument to be made that it can be called, but it feels wrong.
Like that came out 29 years ago now.
It's 29 years ago.
1992.
Wow. That's crazy.
That's 29 years. That's for sure classic at that point.
Okay.
It's 3 decades old.
Yeah, but my problem with Nirvana specifically, that's a great band actually, because the classification of types of rock makes it hard for me to call it because I almost see classic rock as its own genre of rock. You know what I mean?
I do. I know what you mean. Like saying like a band like Boston, for example, the song "Foreplay Long Time." I would call that rock, but at the same time, that's classic rock.
That's classic rock. Yeah,
it's classic rock, but there's no reason it's not just rock.
Well, rock is so painfully generic. That's why there's a million different
rock isn't even a genre. Rock is an umbrella, realistically.
It is. That's how I see it. But classic rock is a genre under that umbrella. I would consider AC/DC classic rock. Any Way You Want It by Journey, classic rock. Foreplay Long Time, that was a good example. Classic rock. Something like, Smells Like Teen Spirit by Nirvana. Well, that's a grunge song, for one. And I see it, so I have a hard time calling it classic rock, because it's a grunge song. Same with In Bloom.
That's something like the Beatles. Do you call that classic pop rock? You got a triple genre going on? Or is that just... or would you just call them classic pop?
Some songs, but not all songs.
Because I've always classified them as pop rock to me.
They are pop rock. They absolutely. I can't call them straight rock because that's just not true.
No, and like something like ABBA, that's pure pop.
That's pure pop. Yes,
that's pure pop. But the Beatles have always been pop rock to me. I mean, you look at songs like Revolution and like Get Back.
I 100% agree with you. It's hard to. I feel like some people would argue that but you got to realize pop at that time was a very different than pop now.
100% agreed. 100% agreed.
The Rolling Stones back then would be rock, classic rock, but the Beatles were definitely pop rock.
Mm-hmm. Okay, getting back to what we were saying though, like, so what is the cutoff to you then? Like, when does it become classic?
I don't know. Like, we could go down 20 years from now.
It's such a hard line to draw.
On paper, the further down the timeline we go, the more that end date should be extended. But it also just doesn't feel right to start calling, I don't know, Boulevard of Broken Dreams a classic rock song.
Right. Okay. So I feel like the problem is the perception of these songs, because something like Green Day, like you said, that's like punk rock. And punk never feels old because it's so specifically aimed at feeling young. Do you know what I mean?
I need to say this because somebody would get mad at me for calling Green Day punk rock. They're like pop punk rock.
I mean, sure.
If there's anything I know about people who like punk music, like true punk rock, it's that they get mad when you call pop punk rock.
Oh my god, fuck off.
It's like when you never call Avenged Sevenfold a metal band around a metalhead.
I'm gonna do it. I want to do that now.
They will rip out your lower intestine.
Good. I didn't need it. But they need to hear the truth.
I'll admit that's like Avenged Sevenfold is on the most pop side of metal there is, but they're not. They're still a metal band.
It is the most vanilla metal band I could probably think of.
For sure, but I would still call them a light metal band.
Yeah, they're still metal. Like,
thank you.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, they can fuck off, please. They can fuck
off. So classic rock. I see it as an era. The 80s and 70s, a lot of classic rock came out. Like, you can't make a classic rock song today without completely emulating what they were doing back then.
Sure. Okay, I know what you're saying. It did become its own genre. It's its own sound. Yes.
Yeah, it's the sound of that era. AC/DC just came out with an album like a month ago or something. Sounds exactly like an AC/DC record. So right. I could call that classic rock because they didn't do anything to change their sound. Like, they made
because they had a hand in inventing that genre.
They did, and they made an 80s record in 2021. That's what they did.
Okay, so a curveball for you here then. And we both knew this band would come up. Greta Van Fleet. Is that because they make classic rock music, but they're very modern? What would you say? Because they are. We all know this. They're literally identical to Led Zeppelin. They are Led Zeppelin 2, the sequel. Like, So what do you call that? What's their genre?
I don't like this question. I would almost, because it feels wrong to call them classic rock, but that is right. What they're doing.
Right.
I don't like that question. I think we need to make a new genre called new classic rock. That's what they are.
No, now you're just diluting rock even more than it already is.
There's like already 150 subgenres of rock. I don't think it's unreasonable to add another one.
I think it is. We have enough. If your rock that you're making now is so fucking niche, it can't fit into any existing rock genres, including fucking alt rock, which is such a catch-all phrase. What even is your music at that point? The look on your face is pain.
Well, yeah, I don't know how to answer this question because every answer I want to give you feels wrong.
Okay, so I mean, okay, take this with a grain of salt. Wikipedia has Greta Van Fleet as hard rock, blues rock, and progressive rock. It has Led Zeppelin as hard rock, blues rock, folk rock, and heavy metal, which I would disagree with the heavy metal, but so there's some overlap there of hard rock and blues rock.
Well, they're one of those bands, one that fit into quite a few genres.
Yeah,
very few rock
100%.
bands don't just slide into one perfectly.
No, but I'm just saying, because those are very comparable bands.
Yeah.
Because I would almost just call them rock. Like,
that is kind of what I'm thinking, because they make the most pure rock sound there is.
That's what I'm thinking, because it's not. I can't call it arena rock, because that's like Imagine Dragons and like stuff like that. I can't. We can't call it classic rock because they're not old. I would not call it blues rock. Really, would not call it metal. Wouldn't like. It's not even alt. Like it's very mainstream. It's just rock.
Like it's the most pure form of rock there is. They're not doing anything to innovate on anything.
And so honestly, that's kind of where I put a band like AC/DC as well. Is I understand why you call them classic rock, but like they're kind of just, to me, they are just what a rock band is.
No, like you could make it rock, just regular rock and classic rock are very.
To me, that's pretty much the same genre, but one is old, one is not.
Kind of, yeah, pretty much.
I think that's where I'm landing on this. Because in 20 years, we're still not going to call... Fuck, we're going to piss them off again. We're not going to call Avenged Sevenfold a classic rock band. We're still going to call them a metal band, or like a classic metal band. You know what I mean? Like, they're not... Because they're too heavy to be called basic rock. So we're never going to call them classic rock. At least I don't think I will.
No, I still feel like I'll never add more bands to the classic rock genre. Whoever's classic rock now will be classic rock forever.
I think that's the wrong. I think that's the wrong approach here, because you're freezing music as it is.
No, but by your logic,
so
by
fast.
2065, Greta Van Fleet will fall into the classic rock category,
and I'm okay with that.
That doesn't feel right to me, because that makes it sound like they came out at the same time as Led Zeppelin.
I don't think it does. I think that's just your perception of what the word classic rock means.
It's 100% my perception.
Realistically, classic rock just means it's old rock. Or realistic. Okay, classic. Like, actually, you know what? No, because classic rock is not all old rock. It's just their hits. Realistically, we call that classic rock. Like, that's a classic rock song.
Yeah.
So Greta Van Fleet's hits, like When the Curtain Falls, I will call a classic rock song one day. One day, not yet.
I fully get what you're saying, and I want to get behind it, but it feels wrong.
Your brain agrees, but your heart does not.
My heart doesn't agree. The dad in me is like, no, they're not. No, they ain't. That ain't my classic rock.
That ain't my rock. So you need to see that and cut that off right now. Cause think about it. So a band like the Arkells, to me, they are also just pretty much just like, they're pretty much just rock, almost pop rock sometimes. But the amount of people I see that are bad, they're gonna be playing at the CFL Grey Cup halftime show this year, which I think is cool because Canadian band, really? Canadian. Yeah, they're gonna be the Grey Cup halftime show. I like that. The amount of old men online I see that are mad about this, it's hilarious to me. Because you can't make them happy.
No, they're stuck in the 80s, the 70s. Rock?
But this one, okay, actually, I want to touch on this briefly. This is actually so baffling to me that they're mad about this, because I understand, I don't agree with them, but I understand when they're mad that it's like, like Bruno Mars was the NFL halftime show. I get why they're mad about it, because they don't like Bruno Mars because he makes not rock.
Yeah.
I get that. They're stuck in that. Or it's too aimed at the younger generation, right? But the Arkells are literally just a fucking rock band. Why are you mad?
They're a modern rock band. This is the genre.
They're not like they are, but it's not like they play some weird version of rock that only kids like. They just play fucking rock.
No, you're right, but they're like the Struts, where they're like, yes,
people should be happy about that too. That's just a rock band.
No, they should, but those are the boomers that can't move on past what it sounded like in the 80s. They don't like that it's new, because it does sound like it's different. It's still very much rock, but it's different.
Greta Van Fleet could come out and play When the Curtain Falls, which is literally just, you can't even tell me that doesn't sound identical to Led Zeppelin, and they'd still find a way to be mad about it.
What do you expect from old men? Old conservative men.
What are you mad about? What are you upset about? Are you upset that they didn't bring back a bunch of fucking old dead rock stars and be like, they should have just resurrected them and brought them back. Like, what do you want them to do?
That stems from the back in my day mentality.
No, but fucking get over it. God, I hate that cop-out. I'm tired of giving old people that excuse of like, oh, they're just old, they're stuck in their ways. Enough of that. Get out of your old ways. Fuck off.
Move on.
Jesus. Move on. Get with the fucking times.
Meanwhile, you're currently on a podcast about nostalgia and things were better in the past.
I understand, but I like both.
That's fine.
It's called balance. It's called balance.
Just balance.
Just balance.
Just balance.
Okay, so back to what do you think Greta Van Fleet is?
I'm moving. I know. I hate. We're done with that. I'm not thinking about it anymore. New question. New fucking question.
Bring it on.
What is your favorite subgenre of rock?
Cold cut combo. Oh, of rock.
More of a BMT man myself.
Yeah, you would be. I'm gonna let you chew on that.
According to that TikTok, I look like the most
favorite-
basic white girl ever. So that's great.
Yeah, I saw that TikTok. Didn't I send that to you? No, maybe not.
You definitely did.
I did? Yeah, okay. What is my favorite subgenre of rock?
I'm gonna knock through a few here that I just know aren't, because they're one-trick ponies. Surf rock has... Once you've heard one surf rock sound, you've heard every surf rock sound.
I won't even diss them because, like, I mean, it's the Beach Boys. We love them. But, like, it's the same thing.
No, you've heard one song, you've heard them all. That's just...
You could overlay the lyrics over any audio track and it would work identically.
Honestly, though, it would. Blues rock, you mentioned earlier. Actually, I love blues rock, but it's not...
I do love blues rock.
Not super...
Can I just say that we can't say classic rock?
Yes. No, that's a cop-out
because that feels
answer.
like a cop-out. Yeah. I like all rock from the 90s and earlier. Like, no, fuck off. No, you don't. Okay. For me, I almost feel like it's actually a relatively easy answer. I would say pop rock.
Just straight up pop rock.
Yep.
It does
Like,
fit
if I had
a
to
lot
pick
of songs.
a subgenre. Because I feel like most classic rock classic rock bands I like have some pop rock songs. It's just lighter rock is all it is.
Oh yeah, no, even Kiss has pop rock songs.
100%. I would almost call Are You Gonna Be My Girl? I would almost call that pop rock, actually.
Oh, that's I would call that pop rock.
Mm-hmm.
It's such a hard I do like classifying things so they're classified, but I have a hard time with it sometimes because some songs fit like 5 different categories. Mm-hmm. Another one it was great for the time it came out, but it's another one-trick pony, Rockabilly.
Yeah, come on. It had its time, and it was fantastic, legendary genre for its time.
Yeah, super cool for the time it came out, but like no one's making modern rockabilly songs that matter.
Mm-hmm.
You call hair metal a subgenre like Motley Crue?
Man, they just feel like classic rock to me. Like that feels like that fits that overarching genre.
Sorry, I asked because another word for hair metal is glam rock. So like
I know what you mean. Yep.
Kiss is also I guess we consider glam rock. I know that's Shane's favorite genre. I also feel like it's a little one-dimensional. Like once you hear girls and girls.
Kickstart My Heart.
Kickstart My Heart. It's like, yeah, okay, now I've heard hair metal.
I agree. And so glam rock to me is one of those weird things. Like, I'm not saying it's not a genre, but that to me feels more like an era than a genre.
It is, because a lot of what encompasses the genre is the look of it.
Exactly, because I feel like you can take almost any of those songs, and if they were 10 years earlier or later, it's just a rock song, but it's called glam rock because it was during that time when that's how they all dressed and like acted and like danced on stage. Like that's just what it was more like an era than a genre.
I half agree with you on that because I do think hair metal songs have a very distinct way they do guitar stuff and vocals.
Okay.
Guitar solos in hair metal songs are like shredding, crazy, wild, unnecessary almost. Guitar licks. Meanwhile, like more classic rock songs, they're a little bit more melodic.
I think I can understand what you're saying.
You also get like more screamy-esque vocals in glam rock. So I do separate them.
Okay, I can understand that argument.
My favorite, and it feels like a stupid answer because I think it encompasses so many genres, so many bands, but I love alternative rock.
See, that was what the other genre I was probably going to say, but that also feels like saying classic rock to me. Like that feels like an overarching thing.
It does.
I know what you mean.
There's so many different sounds that fall under alternative rock. Like if you Google it, Matchbox 20 and the Arctic Monkeys count as alternative rock.
And those are nothing similar at all. Actually, also Cage the Elephant is also considered alt rock.
Yeah, no, that's true. I feel like alt rock is that category when you don't know where to put something. You're like, yeah, it's alt.
Exactly that. because to me, if I'm looking at like, so we're looking at rock as an umbrella genre, right? Like, so I feel like you have all the genres we've talked about, all these subgenres is this half of the umbrella, and then alt rock is just the other half. Like you said, anything that doesn't find a category is just called alt rock.
Yes. I wonder what can you Google the actual definition of alternative rock? I've always seen it as like,
I think it's technically a band who doesn't. What is it? Oh, alternative rock is a category of rock music that emerged from the independent music underground of the 70s and became widely popular in the 90s. Alternative refers to the genre's distinction from the mainstream or commercial rock or pop music.
okay, and that's why so many things fit it, because yes, Matchbox 20, based on that definition, the Arctic Monkeys and Matchbox 20 both fall under that, even though they sound
I
so
have
different.
7 examples here of just what under alt rock here. 4 bands, 3 songs. None of these feel similar to me. Nirvana, Red Hot Chili Peppers, Pearl Jam, Smashing Pumpkins, and then we have Misery Business by Paramore, No Rain by Blind Melon, and Semi-Charmed Life. Like, what? None of these feel similar at all. I can't call these one genre.
Peppers are funk rock, let's be honest. At least they have a lot of funk rock. I shouldn't say they're only. Actually, no, they have their own category. They're just California rock.
So, like, see, that's why I don't count alt rock as a genre. Like, I'll call a lot of bands an alt rock band, but, like, it's not, like, that's just me saying I don't know what rock to categorize it as.
Are we making the rules of saying this our favorite niche subgenre of rock?
Yes, sure, yeah.
Okay.
Trying to narrow it down a little more. Because I think for me, like, pop rock, I think, obviously, because my favorite band of all time, the Beatles. But, you know, there's also some other, like, groups in there that you wouldn't consider, like Buddy Holly. That's also considered pop rock, I would say.
You could call a lot of things pop. I thought we weren't counting pop rock because of how broad it is.
I thought we were counting pop, not alt and classic.
I almost feel like we have to write out pop then, because you can count so many things as pop rock. Because pop rock also covers so many different sounds. It's not like I can't call that a niche rock category. A niche rock category would be funk rock.
I felt like that was specific enough. Okay, all right, fine. All right, fine. I'll play your game.
Because here's what I mean. If you say pop rock, that means, yeah, you could say the Beatles, but you could also say Jet. You could also say the Struts. You could, like, there's so many different. It's not niche enough. Broad, just like alternative and classic.
I like grunge pop funk rock specifically. Hasn't hit all 3. Yeah, I like hairpin turn, U-turn, driving off a cliff sideways in my dad's 1992 Chevrolet Malibu. I like rock. That's my favorite rock genre
I almost
specifically.
forgot to say rock.
No, shut up. I mean, I'm almost leaning towards blues rock.
I played some Kenny Wayne Shepherd for you that one time. You liked it, but you weren't like over the moon for it.
I feel like it's a very consistent genre, though.
It's very consistent. You know what to expect. I like progressive rock because how I see progressive rock songs is something like Coheed and Cambria or Rush. Those songs that, like,
You do love Rush.
I do love Rush. Songs that, like, just kind of explode into nonsense and are 8 minutes long, have wildly long guitars, and just what defines progressive rock for me is just, let's put a bunch of bullshit in this song. Make it needlessly complicated. It's the most impressive form of rock, in my opinion.
Interesting. That is an interesting take. I don't know if I'd go as far as to say it's the most impressive. Like, that feels.
Well, no, because listen, to write a lot of rock songs, it's pretty standard. Like, it's almost like writing a pop song. You got to find a good combination of chords and then repeat them. With progressive rock, everything's constantly changing, and you're doing wild. You got this wild guitar solo here, then this weird vocal line here that doesn't even fit the rest of the song into a bridge that completely changed all the instruments. It's just like, to write a progressive rock song, you have to, like, think a lot more 2-dimensionally, 3-dimensionally, 5-dimensionally, 18 dimensions.
Damn, they got smell-o-vision over there too.
They got smell-o-vision.
I can smell a Rush song now that you say that.
Oh, dude, when you hear Tom Sawyer, you can smell Tom Sawyer.
It mostly smells like weed and Orange Crush. I think if I had to pick, one, I'm just looking at rock genres here. I think one that actually, you're not even gonna be surprised by this. Britpop is considered a rock genre.
I was gonna say that for you.
Yeah, I feel like that'd be a good one because that does still include the Beatles, includes the Struts, includes like, I feel like that covers a lot of what I like. It covers the Arctic Monkeys, I'd even say, because they're Britpop.
Yeah, no, you could. Depending who you talk to, somebody would argue with you.
I mean, somebody who's always going to argue. There's actually apparently Coldplay and Snow Patrol also considered part of that genre.
I always forget Snow Patrol exists.
Yeah, they've got one good song.
Yeah, name one more.
If I lie here.
If I just lay here. Name one other Snow Patrol song. I see you. I can see what you're doing. You're clearly typing. Everything about nothing you're doing is natural right now.
They're the fucking.
You typing with your
goddamn
foot?
list of song name. Fuck.
How are you typing right now? Oh, you're scrolling. That's what you're doing.
No, how could I be scrolling? You can see
you're
my fucking
using your
hand.
foot. I don't know.
List one song name on this page. I have nothing.
Yeah, I know. You've made that very clear.
Great band, though. Great.
Super good. Shit, they're good, man.
Super good. Super good.
Oh, the progressive rock. I would call. You can call this one classic rock. I'm not gonna argue. You can even call this arena rock. But Bohemian Rhapsody is a progressive rock song.
Really?
Just because it follows every trope of a progressive rock song.
I guess
constantly
genre
changing.
switches halfway through.
Constantly changing. It doesn't follow like any formula. It's just doing whatever the fuck Freddie Mercury felt like doing that day.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not gonna fight it though. What is Bohemian Rhapsody considered? Or Queen considered?
I mean, they have a lot. They did a lot. Like they're arena rock, but they're also classic rock.
Well, Wikipedia just has their genre of rock. I would also consider them pop rock for sure.
Think of how many different.
They're from London, England, so that's Britpop too.
Does being Britpop just mean you're from London? Is that all that means?
I mean, you're from England and you do kind of pop rock.
All right. Okay.
Yep.
I'm quite impartial to funk rock. Stuff like Jimi Hendrix does a lot of funk rock.
Okay, no, there's too many rock genres. There's officially too many.
You want to really throw up? Go look up metal genres and then read some of the names to me.
No, because there's I think I've already I'm gonna change my answer. I have a new favorite niche rock genre.
Oh yeah.
And this might be one you already pegged me as. It's kind of it's becoming more mainstream. Italian occult psychedelia rock. That's probably one of my favorites.
Can you Google that and tell me a band in that genre? What do we even say? Italian.
Italian occult psychedelia rock. Yeah. Is there one fucking band in this page? I see not one band on this page.
How do you feel about grunge?
Not strongly for it, but I understand its value and what it's done for rock.
Yeah, I'll go through a random phase where I'll listen to just a shit ton of classic grunge.
Because you'll never ever find me putting dirt on the names of Nirvana, Alice in Chains, Stone Temple Pilots. I can't shit on these bands. They're legendary bands, and they all have songs I like, but it's not a consistent genre.
No, I go through weird specific phases with it. Where I'm gonna listen to some Soundgarden and Nirvana and Stone Temple Pilots, whatnot. But then I won't listen to grunge for a year.
Yeah. Well, and you know what? The funny thing is, a band like Nickelback is considered post-grunge. Obviously, they've covered enough genres that they're also just a fucking basic rock band to me. They have every genre covered by now. But, they had grunge for a while, too.
They have some grungier songs, but, if I was going to give them an umbrella term, they're just rock.
I agree. But I'm saying they have some post-grunge music. So, they even fall under grunge rock, which is weird. And, bands like Creed, they would also be in there.
Yeah, Creed is one of those weird ones that they're probably also called alternative.
They are. Yep. Everything's alternative.
Which is why alternative is my favorite, purely for the variety that comes with it.
I'm not disagreeing with you for one single second.
If I could only pick, if I could only pick one subgenre of rock to listen to, I would hands down pick alternative rock.
Yeah, if there's a gun to my head and they say one genre, and this band has to have some of this music, I'm going to say alt rock, because I basically still have every fucking band under the sun in my repertoire.
I will lose, all the classics, but I'll get all the bands I actually consistently listen to.
Not even all of them, because some of them are still, they have some alt stuff.
You're going to lose AC/DC.
Yeah, probably.
There's nothing alternative about AC/DC. They're the most...
Yeah, they're about as mainstream as it gets, yeah.
Journey, Kiss, you will lose a number of them.
You'll lose a number, but I feel not as many as you might think. I also love soft rock. I know that's also kind of a catch-all.
It is, but soft rock is more of a niche catch-all than others, because soft rock has a very consistent sound. The Eagles are soft rock.
Yeah. I mean, I would argue Paul McCartney has lots of soft rock.
Yep.
John Denver.
Yep. Bob Seger.
Yep.
Soft rock, that does cover a lot, but it's not quite as broad as just saying straight up classic rock or something.
Yeah. Personally, I like ska.
That's a one-trick pony if I've ever heard one.
It's the same as fucking beach, like a surf rock to me. Like they're so similar.
Ska, you've heard one ska song, you've heard all ska. Although I will say, ska punk hits. They had that in Tony Hawk Underground.
Oh yeah, but I don't want to listen to that in my car. I want to listen to that while skating specifically.
Yeah, like it's a niche time I want it, but sometimes I do want it.
I will never want it other than when I'm just fucking grinding out combos in Tony Hawk's Underground. That's
Bro, if
or
I'm not
pro skater.
busting out kick flips on the reg, I don't need any ska.
If I'm not hitting the 720 McTwist over a helicopter in Hawaii, I don't want ska punk around.
And believe me, I'm doing that at least once a week.
Crushing that weekly, baby.
Actually, we didn't even mention rap rock.
I mean, yeah.
Also kind of a one-trick pony, but every now and again, I'm gonna fuck up some Pedal to the Metal by Kazzer.
I'm gonna hit up some Kazzer. I mean, I can't not.
Linkin Park had a lot of rap rock.
That's true. Actually, what do you call Linkin Park? Like
alternative.
They're also pretty. Fuck off. Other than alternative, they're pretty much just rock. I feel like also.
No, they're too different to call it just rock. They had their own little niche cut out.
Alt rock, new metal, alternative metal, rap rock, electric rock, and pop rock. Of course, they're pop rock. Everybody's pop rock.
I think all those are accurate. I could not just call Linkin Park rock. They were a little too different to be just rock.
But they have some just rock songs.
Right, but like every band that does anything with an electric guitar probably has a pure rock song.
I would call Bleed It Out. I would call that just a fucking rock song.
Right, but as a band, that Bleed It Out is
Numb. That's just a rock song.
Numb is not just a rock song.
That's just a rock song to me.
See, this is why I hate genres, but also love them. I like things having a category, but sometimes they just don't work.
They make me immeasurably mad at times, but the other times it's like, I need to categorize this.
Looking forward while appreciating the past. Exploiting nostalgia.
Okay, so I've had some time to think about this, and I can't in good faith put songs from the 2000s in the classic rock category. I can't do it. That doesn't add up to me. I feel like the best solution for categorizing rock, because I consider classic rock its own genre that encompasses a lot of the later 60s to the 80s. I would do it by decade, because 2000s rock is very different from 2010s rock already. You know, 2010s rock that's where you get, well, like Imagine Dragons and 21 Pilots, the bands that are like, a lot of people don't even consider rock. You know, the Struts, the Arkells. In the 2000s, you had like, Green Day at that time was considered rock, you know? And when you think of Green Day versus, I don't know, Van Halen, like those are two very different styles. So like to lump them all in the same genre that, oh, this is all classic rock now, I can't get behind that. I just can't. Logan was trying to talk me into it, but I can't do it. And then you have weird bands like Greta Van Fleet where they're just making classic rock. They're making Led Zeppelin music. That's what they're doing. So they're a weird exception where I would put them, if I was making a genre playlist, which I actually have on Spotify. I have a 29-hour classic rock playlist. If I was gonna put, I would put them into it, because although they're making music in the modern age, they're making it in the exact style of what it was back then. So therefore, they get it back. Like they're making classic rock music, if that makes sense. It's like a sound. It's a sound that fits that genre. So by decade is what makes sense to me. Who knows what 2020s rock is gonna come out to be. We're only 2-3 years into the decade, so I don't know. Anyway, I think it only makes sense, and I should have got Logan to throw out a few of his, but to talk about some of my favorite classic rock songs of all time, it just seems fitting. I'd love to know some of yours. Please, if you have some, go to the Anchor FM page for Exporting Nostalgia, and you can leave a voice note. I'll show them off in a future episode. So one of my big ones is Separate Ways by Journey. I've always loved this song. It's just, I don't know where I heard it for the first time, because I have no memory of first hearing it. It's funny, my friend who's been on the show, he was on back in the Christmas episode and a couple others, Robert, he loves that song because of the Tron Legacy soundtrack, which, yeah, fair enough. That's like the theme song for the movie, damn near. I hadn't seen Tron until like a year ago, so I I don't know where I first heard this song. Probably just on the radio, realistically, at some point growing up. And I don't know, that opening guitar riff, that chugging, dun, 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 it just gets me amped. It's so good. It's so good. It doesn't get the respect it deserves. Another one I really like is from the movie St. Elmo's Fire, called St. Elmo's Fire by John Parr. There's something about that song, that chorus gets me hyped. That feels like the ultimate culmination of what an 80s movie soundtrack should and sounded like, what it should sound like, basically. The guy who sings it, John Parr, actually has another good song that nobody ever talks about. The subject matter of it is pretty whatever, but the opening for Naughty Naughty by John Parr just gets me bricked up, man. That's like the dirtiest synth I've ever heard at the start of an 80s song, and it gets me going. I'm a big fan. I could see somebody considering St. Elmo's Fire a little bit more on the pop rock side of that era. Same with Kiri by Mr. Mister. I always associate these two songs together, and I'm not entirely sure why, but I hear one and I always feel the need to listen to the other one. I love Kiri. I don't hear anybody talk about that song. Also, really more on the pop rock side of that era, but I'm a big fan. Danger Danger is a big one for me. Nobody seems to know this band. Back in the days of the Game Shop, there used to be a game shop in my hometown. It was a small mom and pop shop that I was like very invested in. I spent pretty much 2 years of my life living there, basically. The guy who ran it, Shane, he showed us the band Danger Danger, and his exact words were, "Here's the greatest 80s rock band that nobody knows about." And sure as shit, I didn't know about them. And damn, though, he was right. They've stuck with me to this day. I have every song, every album that they made on vinyl that came on vinyl, and they go off. If you haven't heard them before, a couple more recommendations I would throw out there. If you really want that, just the most 80s sounding rock song. Like, it sounds more 80s than the biggest songs of the 80s, is Bang Bang by Danger Danger. That's not a gimmick. Well, it's kind of a gimmick. I think they have 3 songs that do that stupid double word play thing. Great song. The first 10 seconds of it, you'd be like, yeah, damn, this is the most 80s thing I've ever heard in my life. Interesting thing about the band Danger Danger, if you're a fan of, and I think this is how Shane found the band, if you're a fan of the singer of Escape from the City, from the Sonic Adventure 2 soundtrack, his name's Ted Poley. He was the lead singer of Danger Danger for like half of their albums. They switched singers somewhere in the middle, and then they switched back to Ted Poley. So if you're a fan of how that guy sounds on Escape from the City, that's the guy. Naughty Naughty, another song called Naughty Naughty, ironically enough, by Danger Danger, is really good. And their third song that does that stupid word thing is Cherry Cherry. I like that one a lot. That's less classic rock sounding, almost, I don't know, 90s rock sounding. That one's really good. I'll warn you right now, they've got some cheeseball lyrics in like a lot of their songs, but the sound of them hits hard. And they do everything from a hair metal to the more pop rock side of that era to like damn near metal on one of the albums. It's just good. Check them out. Check them out. Do yourself the favor. Another like trio of songs that I see in the same, like, I kind of listen to them back to back in the same way I would listen to St. Elmo's Fire and Kiri back to back. Hold the Line by Toto, White Wedding by Billy Idol, and Running Down a Dream by Tom Petty. Love those 3 songs. That is such a power trio right there. You listen to those in a row and you're fired up. You're ready to go. You're hitting the highway. Testosterone is running through your veins in the best way imaginable. One of my favorite classic rock songs of all time would be The Spirit of Radio by Rush. I just think that song is cool. Rush does a lot of weird, like 10-minute long songs, like The Necromancer, but there's something about The Spirit of Radio that, well, maybe it's because I work in radio, although I kind of feel like that has nothing to do with it, to be honest with you. Lyrically, that song is, it's cool, like the vocabulary they use in it, like any Rush song, but the actual meaning behind it is like a little whatever. But the sound of it, the way the music changes up, it's the perfect idea of a Rush song. There's moments that feel like Tom Sawyer. There's moments that feel like The Necromancer. Like it's a very upbeat side of what Rush does. I feel like you're not allowed to talk about legendary classic rock without mentioning Rumors by Fleetwood Mac. Obviously, one of the greatest albums of all time. I'm not going to dispute that. It's fantastic. Good, really just top tier soft rock. One of my favorite soft rock songs is actually probably Amanda by Boston. Love that song. It's just fire. Have you guys ever heard Simply Irresistible by Robert Palmer? I feel like more people remember him for Bad Case of Loving You. But there's something about Simply Irresistible that just that like extremely repetitive chugging guitar is... I don't know, that song's like I would almost consider it a guilty pleasure of mine. I had that song on loop for the entire year of 2017. I could not stop listening to it for whatever reason. It's not even that like clever of a song, it's just good. It's just an earworm. I feel like I could go on for a really long time, but all the classic rock songs I love. Like I haven't mentioned really big ones like Any Way You Want It and Summer of '69 and Danger Zone. But like, it's just such an endless topic. I'll give you a few more recommendations of songs I really like. I really like the whole band, Firehouse. They're great. Don't Treat Me Bad is one you've probably heard before. Reach for the Sky is also really good by them. Kim Mitchell has a song that plays a lot on the radio called Go for a Soda. And I don't know what it is about that song, but I just like the vibe of it. I like the tone, the idea behind it. It's just, let's go for a soda, man. Nobody gets hurt, nobody dies. It's chill. And I don't know, I like that. Harlequin is big for me and Logan. We went to their concert a couple years back, and that was great. They were a bit of a Canadian gem. Innocence, Thinking of You. I Did It for Love is probably my favorite song by them. That's like a single anyway. Oh, I really like Love Is by Alana Miles, I think her name is. That bass line just gets me going. You've probably heard that one too. Another single by her, and that one plays on radio stations a lot still. At least the radio stations around where I live, they like to play it on like Mix. And I'll end this with one of my favorite singers of all time, which is Richard Marx. Nobody talks about Richard Marx. He wrote so many songs back in the 80s. Predominantly known for all of the ballads he would write, like mainly Right Here Waiting. I'm sure you've heard that before. I really love his voice. It's just this like, it's gentle but also really raspy at the same time. He wrote that NSYNC song, This I Promise You, which I'm pretty sure has been played at every wedding you've ever been to. He was a good, his lyrics are a little cheeseball 80s, but that's kind of the charm to them. And I really love him for his voice. He has this song with this like groovy, funky tone to it called You Never Take Me Dancing, which I really like by him. I love Satisfied by him. That's probably my favorite like upbeat thing he's done. Come Running, I'm a big fan of. Don't Mean Nothing, that one's pretty solid too. That one's kind of catchy pop rock. Oh, hey, and totally off topic, shout out to Cult of Personality. I feel like not enough people talk about that song. Everything about that song is great. So I'm just gonna I'm gonna tack that on out of nowhere. Anyway, I want to know some of your favorite classic rock songs. I got way more I could talk about, and I really didn't plan this out as much as I should have. But hey, that's how things go sometimes. Either way, we're gonna wrap it up there. Thank you for tuning in this week, everybody. I really appreciate it. Again, I really want to know some of your favorite classic rock songs of all time. I'm sure someone's gonna say something by Pink Floyd, because I didn't. And that's great. I love the diversity that comes with people's favorites from that era. Please let me know. Thank you for tuning in. We will see you all next Saturday for our next episode, where we might have a new guest. I don't know. I wish I didn't say that, because I don't know what's gonna happen next Saturday. Thank you for tuning in, though. We'll see you all soon. Catch you later.
Games, toys, shows, and all the retro things I know. Exploiting nostalgia.
Italian occult psychedelia rock. That's probably one of my favorites.